This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, July 24th, 2018, episode 184. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We're bringing you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. That's my name. It's not hard to figure out. Visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Really stretching out here. Joining me. He was making sure he was ready. He was still putting makeup on in the preview window. Brian with an I, Aldridge. What's going on, Brian? How are you?
Not too much. Doing well. Beautiful day here in Boise.
It rained.
If you want to find me
here all day.
It rained here?
It rained here. No, it rained here in Wilmington all day. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this.
Tracking the local Boise weather.
Yeah, I was looking at your security cameras.
Weather stalking me.
So it was raining. I mean, what was going on? Who knows?
So you can find me at Boise Computer on Twitter. Of course, you can check out my blog, biteoftech.com. And of course, go check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. Make sure if you want to get notifications of our live show, click join our Steam group, which has just right before the show starts, little notification from Steam pops up, and it'll let you know that we're getting ready to do our live show. If you're looking to get notifications, sometimes we do it for our game of the week, for doing a game that's on Steam, or last week I just did one for Overwatch, just to let people know we're getting ready to start that. So if you want to get those notifications, it's easy to do, and it's just a little Steam group, nothing else other than those two notifications. Also, we have our YouTube channel on there. We have our Twitch, which is where you come check out this live show. And we also have all our audio forms. So if you're looking somewhere to find us on your iPod, your iPhone, your Android, whatever it is that you use to listen, we have a link for that. And also our show notes. If you want to find a show note or past video, we have all 184 by the time you listen to this episodes on there that you can check out, plus a few extra things thrown in. So
yes, quick programming note, forgot about this. Well, I didn't forget, we brought it up. We're gonna have a special Monday edition next week. I've got a work event I've got to attend Tuesday night, so put it in your calendar. We'll be live on Monday the 30th of July. That'll be our last show of the month, wrapping it up. So quick note, our live show next week, if you're a live listener, will be on Monday. And if you're a podcast listener, I guess you'll get it a day early. So look forward to that next Monday, as these things will happen from time to time. Fortunately, we've been quite lucky. We haven't had to do it a whole bunch of times, but every once in a while we have to do so. Now, I said last week I was going to do it, go over our PAX trip, because I was a little hesitant. Brian, not so much, but I was very hesitant, and I think I was afraid to really promote our PAX trip before I knew that we had media passes, because the tickets sell it so quick. Well, a couple weeks ago, fortunately, got our email. Actually, got 2 emails that we were approved. So we've got our media passes, and we are officially heading out to PAX West 2018. So we've got a little web page on our website, and you can check that out. It's infectionpodcast.com/PAX, and this is what's going on for our trip. So we've got a goal of $500. Either way, we're going out, but there's some things that will coincide with these with this donation. So we're at $140 right now, and our first donation goal is a $250 goal, which will be halfway to our goal of $500. And that's going to be a before. Now, we did a special show at PAX last year. I think we did it. Let's see, we did the show Friday, Saturday. I think we did it Saturday night. Actually, no, we did it. Yeah, yes. We did it Saturday night because it was after the F-13 event. So we did it Saturday night, and we kind of did a wrap up. Lance was there. He'll be there again this year, so we'll have that. But we're gonna do a couple different things this year. We want to do a pre-PAX show. Fortunately, now that we're pros, I mean, here's the thing: we're already a big deal. So that's not a problem. But now we understand how PAX works a little bit more. We've given ourselves an extra day to travel. So we'll be arriving on Thursday instead of Friday, which will give us some time to actually, and we're arriving early Thursday. Our mistake last time was we arrived, I arrived at a decent hour. Brian, flew in 11 o'clock. But we're going to be arriving at a decent hour on Thursday. So Thursday evening, night, afternoon, we're going to do a before PAX bonus show. A quick little thing. It's not going to be very long. It's not going to be very... it's not going to be I don't want to say well produced in the sense, but it's not going to have video elements or everything. It's just going to be going through the list of people that are going to be at the show. We'll be sitting in our Airbnb. We'll go through who's going to be there, what we're interested in. We'll interact with the chat. We'll have a probably short little half an hour, 45-minute hour show, something in that time range. Thank you, Green Man Cartoons, for Nick's Lady Drinks. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that over at PAX. So thank you for that, Green Man. So we'll do that. That's our $250 donation goal. That's our plan for that. Now, something else that we're going to try this year, again, we're a little more comfortable, is we're going to try to stream from the show floor. Fortunately, Brian's got a technical setup that's hopefully going to allow us to do this. This is dependent on the 4G connection in Seattle. There's going to be a lot of people at PAX using their phones. So this one's a little bit iffy, but I would really like to be able to kind of, our plan is to strap a phone to our camera rig and just stream. So you can pop into the chat. We'll be watching the chat on our phone from time to time, and you'll get kind of a view of what we're doing. You'll see some of the interviews. The audio is not going to be anything great. This is meant to just kind of be almost like a security, like a 24-hour look-in feed to what we're doing while we're at the show floor. We did some Twitter updates last year, so you could just peek in at any point, say, oh, hey, they're walking around. Oh, go check out those people, or go check out this, or whatever. So that's our plan, and that's our $375 dollar goal out of our 500. And then our final donation goal, our $500 goal, is our big bonus pack show that we will do. We'll do that Saturday or Sunday night, which will be just a full recap of what we talked about. If you remember last year's, I got mocked. Well, I didn't get mocked. I was called out for being maybe a little unruly at the F-13 conference. Now, saying all this happened with F-13, I don't have any regrets towards how I ended up being right. I mean, I was right. So we'll see how that works out in Seattle. Maybe we'll go to another panel and I could heckle some people. I would enjoy that. But that'll be our Friday night, that'll be our $500
the death nail. If Nick mocks you at a panel, you know that your game is going to die.
We should go to let's go to, never mind. So that'll be our $500. I wonder if H1Z1 will be there. We could do that. That'll be our $500 goal. And we'll do that if we reach our goal. Now, we do have a little bit of a like an incentive for you to donate. Obviously, last year we did Brian's what did we call it? Your beard contest. I don't remember exactly how we did it or what the deal was with it, but the goal you've got a certain amount of votes for
I had some predetermined. I had a list and pictures of different beard styles, and then people could donate to vote on which way I would shave my beard for the show, for that upcoming show.
Gotcha. So we're doing something a little bit, obviously Brian is not growing out another beard this year. We'd be a little bit late for that. So we're doing something a little bit different, but similar in the same vein. For every $20 that you donate, so if you donate 40, that would be $263. For every $20 you donate, you're going to get your name put into a raffle for a piece of canvas video game art that Lance is going to be producing for us. So this is just an example of something that you could get printed on a piece of canvas. We'll get some more specifics after the whole PAX, after it's all over. We'll get all the details sorted out about what exactly the size and everything. But for everybody that, for anybody that donates $20 or more, you get a number, a drawing into this contest that we'll do either right before or right after PAX, and then Lance will get that. It
can be the video game of your choice.
Yeah, pretty much.
As far as whatever video game. We'll just say no nudity. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
For Lance's sake.
Yes, we'll just keep it PG, and we'll have that produced, and we'll correlate with the winner for that, and that'll be that. So thanks to our good friend Greenman, we are up to $160 on our way here, and we will we'll get going with that. All right. I do want to thank Deacon, who resubscribed before the show. So thanks, Deacon, for that. And you can subscribe on Twitch. All the money is going towards our PAX trip. It's not all being counted in this PAX donation page, but it is all going there.
Yeah, when you get the Humble Bundle packages that we link different specials that they're doing, whenever you do those, the Humble Bundle monthly or the individual bundles, the percentage that we receive from those, that's going towards PAX. Anything that we usually link and the different when you sub to the channel, that also goes towards PAX. So we don't pull that money out and use it for personal things.
Oh, I mean, you don't.
No, Nick may be funneling it off, but with that those funds are saved throughout the year, and then we use them towards financing PAX. That way, we're not asking for a very large amount of money and requiring a very large amount of money right before PAX. We're trying to. One thing we determined last year is we wanted to kind of have those year-round income sources coming in, so that we have the ability to then say, all right, your final end donations help, but we're able to pay for a lot of those things beforehand.
Yeah, and eventually, depending on how this goes, it gets to the point where we don't even have to do essentially a crowdsourced drive to go to these events, or maybe we go to 2 events a year or something like that. We can move into that realm. So we appreciate everybody that supports the program, both monetarily, people that send us news, people that are active in our Discord. It doesn't matter. It's all, I mean, it's all the same. It's all building the community and keeping this thing alive now, as we've been doing this 184 weeks straight. I mean, that's insane for a podcast. 184 weeks straight is quite the feat, and we're not going anywhere. But we will be live next Monday. I'll say that again. We will be live next Monday for a special Monday edition of the show. And I do want to thank Lance, who just donated, saying $10 if you promise that Lance doesn't interview the Bethesda guy. So he's trying to cover his own ass on that one. So thanks.
That's still my favorite interview of the whole trip.
Hey, it was probably one of our best. I don't even know if that's been published. I don't think that's been published. I think
we showed a little bit of it.
I've showed it
like in a pre or post show.
It was a post show.
I think it was a post show.
Yeah, we showed a little bit of that. Maybe we'll crack that out here in a couple of weeks and see what comes of that.
Show people what they can look forward to.
Yeah, our Infection Podcast top quality interviewing at a gaming convention. All right, well. So thanks everybody for that. Thanks Lance, Greenman, and Deacon for the subscription, and then Deacon for the Twitch subscription. We appreciate it. We played Overwatch for last week's game of the week, and you weren't.
So I ended up having. Yeah, I was in chat for a little bit, but then I had to go. My wife and I committed to kind of like a double date thing, and so I sent out the notification, talked to people for a little bit, and then had to go, and then came back later, and then you guys were all playing another game. So
yes, now we did.
So how did people actually? Did you have people actually show up and play some Overwatch?
Yeah, we had. I think there's 6-man teams. I think we had 4 or 5 solid. We were rolling through. We probably won 7 or 8 games in a row. We won one of the payload rounds, the one that's on the Hollywood movie set. We literally won that game in 4 minutes. Which, like, we were just steamrolling them. We had a couple great games like that, and then we literally lost like 25 straight. We just could not win a game at the end. It didn't matter what mode we were playing. I got very frustrated, of course, as Overwatch is. But I'd say we probably played 12.5 games total, something like that. Maybe bordering on 24. We played a lot. We had a really good time with it. So, that was Overwatch. That was Friday night, and we had a good crew, good turnout, and we'll do that again. Come up soon. TM.
Okay, and then so this coming week we're going to be doing tabletop, and I purchased one of the licensed games that they have, what they consider DLC of Zombicide, and that does 6 players. If we have more than 6 players, we can pick another game that allows for more, but we'll do a game of tabletop. And this is in anticipation of Alpha 17 of 7 Days to Die not releasing. 7 Days to Die said end of July, beginning of August. They will be coming out with Alpha 17. And so that's pretty much this week forward. It could be released at any time. So if we're going to do our next couple game of the weeks, whatever we set, there's a chance that if Alpha 17 is released, let's say on a Wednesday, that we may swap it to be 7 Days to Die.
We will
instead.
swap it to 7 Days to Die.
So,
as long as it doesn't come out like super late on a Friday where people don't have enough time to get prepared and we don't.
And I wouldn't be, getting a server set up and everything.
So as long as it comes out with some decent notice, that's what we'll switch to. And the notifications for all that, you'll find our Twitter's down here below our double box here. It's @InfectionCast. Of course, we'll notify everybody on Discord. So be aware over the next probably 3 weeks or so. This is the last Friday in July coming up this Friday. Yeah. So just be aware.
So it should be in the next 2 weeks after that for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been a year.
I mean, who knows? So over the next couple weeks, we'll have some more casual games that if they get bumped, it's not a big deal. So tabletop this Friday, that's the plan. It may change to 7 days, and that is the case for the next couple of weeks. So hopefully you will join us for that. 8 p.m. rather Eastern on our Discord Friday night. We do it every week. We call it our Infection Game of the Week, and we just get together with the community, play some video games, have a good time, BS for a little while, and then that's your Friday night. It's a good way to hang out with the community and the crew and play some video games. So
one thing also we've been doing is playing a lot of Conan.
Yes, we have. We don't have any news on that, right? No, we don't. We don't. Let's real quick talk about. I know I did the whole intro with the PAX thing, but let's for a couple minutes talk about Conan. I started playing 3 weeks ago, somewhere 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I finally got over and I think I talked a little bit about this last week. It was getting over the hurdle of what the game content originally had, and I went back and looked because I took some screenshots I showed last week of me being high on that mountaintop, and when I was going through my screenshots folder, I saw the original screenshots we'd taken for Conan when it first came out, and it was like it was two different games. It was like one game was like concept art, which was the screenshot I took back in January of 2017 when it came out, I think.
Yeah.
And then the screenshots I took just a couple weeks ago, and it was it looked like a full-fledged final AAA style title game. So, but now you've been playing this the past week, and I don't think we didn't get your take on that because you weren't playing it at that point. So, what do you think?
Yeah, so I've been kind of off doing my own things. My wife, she's building a base, and she's been playing as well. And definitely, there's much more progression in this. That's the one thing that I think that they were truly lacking before that we hit, and we're like, okay, what do we do? What do we do now? That's one thing that they've really added is some form of progression. I think even with our group, I was actually talking with Lance a little bit about this earlier. We haven't really gotten into the base progression. People are building big bases, but they're building it with the equivalent of what is thatch, and they don't realize it because it looks stronger than thatch. The very basic material that they're doing here is still like a sandstone, but it's not really. That's their weakest one. There's 4 or 5 different materials beyond that are stronger, and because we're not doing those bosses come through the purges and attacking your bases, people aren't really considering that. So that's one thing I'm thinking about is us turning on kind of initial purges so that people now, rather than just building a giant base and saying, okay, what do I do now? They actually have to start thinking about, okay, I need to secure my base so it's not destroyed when a purge comes through if it happens to hit my base. Because I think that would extend even more the progression that we're not really getting right now, because what's the point of making your base extra strong at this moment?
And I agree with everything you're saying. I want to quickly talk about something that I don't think I experienced. Ark obviously is the closest parallel to Conan. They're same engine, very similar concepts, only real difference.
Many similar
mechanics. Couple big differences. Conan, Ark's got, of course, all the mounts, the things you can fly, all that. Or Ark's got all that rather. Conan's got their incredible climbing mechanic. Other than those two things, and they have the slaves and stuff in Conan. But other than those couple of handful of things on each side, they're very, very similar games. I think, and I didn't feel this with Ark, I feel like I could play Conan single player and not be disappointed with the experience. I don't know why. I don't know why compared to Ark, but for some reason with Conan, I think it maybe is just the lack. I think the big thing with Ark is taming those animals is ridiculous. I mean, taming a Bronto is like
super powerful. That's the thing is each time you tame, like it's a huge jump ahead, and then you've got on the public bases that or the public servers. What we ran into is then one of the big tribes gives you a really advanced animal, and then you lose all that time of learning and progressing. Like you instantly jump farther ahead because now you can go and get prime meat constantly, or you know whatever it is, the ability to fly all over the map, which instantly makes the map feel small. So progression is fun, but the thing is when you don't have the time to actually go through it and do it yourself, right? Everything's handed to you. It really takes away from the experience. And I think also that's where if we turn on the purging, it'll make people have to progress more. Like they're gonna, I need to now get all these materials to make all these metal pieces that I need, you know, that have the special kind of wood, that have the special kind of brick. It'll make you do more than just going in and exploring the map.
Now, I think that's the case, but I just think the difference with Ark is I don't think you can play Ark and get far in the game solo
by yourself.
It's not. I mean, realistically, how are you going to do those tames? I mean, the tames are like 7 or 8 hour. That's on the low end. Tames
like a giga tame would be impossible because you wouldn't have the ability to go get the materials you
and bring
need,
it back
because you're sitting there. I mean, when we did a giga tame, I was sitting there and just like having to just tape because you can't overfeed, you can't underfeed. You have to just every certain amount of time give it a certain amount of food. And you're just threading a needle at that point, just trying to be so precise.
And you've got people bringing you
there's
the
no
food.
way you could do it by yourself. Yeah, and they're bringing it to me. And if one of them would have lagged or I would have overfed it, it would have woken up.
And so that's the thing. Like that's the issue with Ark. Ark is a multiplayer game. They've got a single player, but it's a multiplayer game. I think Conan can be a single player game. And I think I'm actually going to give that a try because I'm very curious. I don't like single player games. I don't care about story. I've been very public about this. That's why I'm not a big fan of single player games. I enjoy playing with other people. But I also don't enjoy having things handed to me. That's one of my pressure points. But I think, and I don't know this to be and I feel the same way like a game like Minecraft, I think is the same thing. Yes, it's fun to play with people, but you can play that game alone. And it's
a small group. Small group.
And I think Conan's kind of the same way. You can play Conan alone, you can play Minecraft alone, or you can play them in a small group. I don't. That's something that Ark did not have, and I think that's a big selling point for because there is a lot. You know, while we're very open, and most of the games Brian, you and I play, and our community plays are multiplayer games because we want to play with our community. But on the flip side of the coin of us, there are people that do not. They just want to do their own thing. They don't want to. And it's not that they don't want to interact with other people, but they just don't want. They want to play. Skyrim's a great example. They want to play their game the way they want to play it. They don't have to interact with anybody else, and they don't have to do any of that. They can just play their game, do what they want, and not be dependent or reliant on anything else. And now Conan, I think, has got the best of both worlds. You can play it multiplayer and have fun, but I think, and I'll be testing this theory, I think you can play it single player too and still have a good experience, which is not something that none of these games have.
It'll take you a little bit longer.
Of course.
But, you know, I mean, mainly it'll be securing your base. The secret will be creating a small base, keeping it as small as possible to purge, you know, and be purge friendly, and just being able to build it up, and then once you get it secure, you know, then start expanding it or do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, I think this may be an understated thing for Conan because I do think that most of the games you're talking. I don't know how many of the game. I'm looking through our list of games right now. None of these games are really single player. And Conan isn't necessarily single player, but I think it has a strong single player. So I'll be giving that a try, either in single player or just a small group, and seeing what happens. I'm very curious because I think this may be the way to go. for future game developers is having this best of both worlds without compromising one or the other.
So I want to get your opinion on something.
Let's hear it.
I was doing a little research earlier, and I was looking at, I mean, if you take a look at GTA 5, where they have GTA Online, and then they have their single player experience.
Forgot about GTA. Yeah, that's another good game that does that.
So what do you think is going to happen with Red Dead Redemption 2? Do you think that they are going to push the online experience as much and have the equivalent of the shark cards?
Shark cards, yeah.
And the money that they're pushing, do you think it's going to be kind of that pay to win? Because that's why I don't play the online version, because it's kind of a pay to win experience. I mean, you could play it, I'm sure, but it just really seems like, but for 60 real world dollars, then you can get, however many hundreds of thousands of dollars of shark, on a shark card. Do you think that they're going to do with Red Dead Redemption 2, push the same type of experience that they've done with GTA Online and have it be kind of that you have a place that you buy, that you live and do and go that direction? Because they got to be making a huge amount of money doing that with the shark cards.
Yeah.
I don't know that they would pass it up now that they've seen that the model works.
No, then the model does work because they're making a fortune off of it. I was just quickly doing some Googling. I don't remember if they mentioned that the multiplayer was co-op. I don't remember what they said about it. I'm not finding anything that's telling me definitively.
They've been really tight-lipped, so that's the thing. Okay. But the thing is they released GTA 5 and then later released GTA Online. So I'm wondering if they're going to, release the initial single-player game, let people play through it so that people don't skip the whole single-player aspect of it, and then later start releasing the online things to keep people interested in the game and still playing it, because then there's another experience to do.
I think the GTA approach is probably the way to go. Release the game, and the Red Dead story I'm interested in. That's an interesting story for me.
But they know that there's some people who will never play the story or experience any of that because they'll go straight to online, because there's that big push to be the top of the online game.
Exactly. So maybe that's the way to go, is do the single player and then 8 months later release the multiplayer.
I'm just curious if it's going to be the same type of experience, because I mean, GTA Online is kind of a unique experience. I mean, there are a few other games that are similar to that, but it's kind of a unique experience for what they're offering. And I'm just wondering if they're going to create a now alternative world, because if they do that thing I talked about where people could buy, remember I was talking a long time ago about where people could, if they did a Western theme here, they could buy a farm, or they could have their own place. And yeah, exactly. There's where I made my prediction of that. And it seems like if they're going to go with the same model as GTA Online, that they could almost do that to where, you have a huge map and some of the prime real estate are farms or ranches, different places they could get.
According to this article on Metabomb, according to Rockstar Games, they have said that the Red Dead Redemption 2 multiplayer will feature, quote, a brand new online multiplayer experience. Whatever the hell that means. So not that I answer. I was just trying to see what had released, because I do remember us talking about it.
I mean, I've been looking and they're not saying much. They're keeping it very quiet. Even the map size. The map size is something that there was a leak of a fake map that wasn't real, that a lot of places reported on. But I'm curious, is it going to be equal size of a map as GTA? Is it going to be bigger? Is it going to be smaller? They've not let very much that leak. And you got to think, this game is coming out October 26th.
I forgot it was that close.
So, I mean, it's not that far away that it's going to be released, and there's so little information out about it, which, I mean, they've got to have some pretty good legal contracts to keep people.
Yeah, I mean, they're a big enough house. I mean, I remember with GTA, it was GTA 5. It was the same thing. Like, oh, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Yeah, wow, that'll be out here real. I forgot how close that was.
Yeah, so I figured some more information would be leaking out by now, or there'd be some information, but they haven't said how big the map is. They haven't said the online experience, other than they're going to be putting a BR in there. I'm just curious. And if the BR, maybe the BR will be just part of kind of like GTA Online. Maybe it'll just another game mode.
Another game mode, yeah. I mean, the single player will definitely, in my opinion, be the kind of the star of the show. Looking at their
But they know
games.
that that's not going to last a year from now. I mean, look at
No.
GTA Online or GTA 5 has been out for like what, 5 years?
Yeah, probably 2012, 5-6 years.
So yeah, 6 years. And so if you look at that, like they're going to want to have a game like that to where they can continue and look at they're still making money off of it. They know if they just focus mainly on that single player or don't provide enough of a continued experience, you know, it's going to be 1 year, 2 years worth of money, big money, and then maybe a few people buying it.
Here's the thing.
Over time.
There will be a multiplayer. The question is, when is it available? Does it I don't know what word I'm looking for. Is there an emphasis on the multiplayer versus the single player, or vice versa? Is there a what the hell's, how do you say de-incentive? A disincentive? What
disincentive, yeah.
Is there a disincentive of playing the single player over the multiplayer? Call of Duty is a great example of this, right? When the game comes out, you play the multiplayer. You want to be at the top of the leaderboards. You want to learn the maps quicker than anybody else. There's not an incentive to play the single player. They will do this with Red Dead because this is a single play. The story is very important in Red Dead Redemption. I mean, people are not buying. I don't think people buy GTA for the online because that's been a thing in GTA. People did not buy Red Dead Redemption. People did not buy Red Dead Redemption on the Xbox 360 for the online. They bought it for the story, and I think it's.
I'm just that's what I'm really curious is because they've seen the success of GTA, which that was their first big online like that.
They made $500 million. Reported $500 million off of it, the online.
I think they made more than that by now, probably, right?
Yeah,
Is that?
I'm not sure. That's just what it said. That's one of these articles said in comparison.
Because I think they made that like in the first short period of time.
This is just off multiplayer, not from sales of the game,
not from the actual game,
not from the actual game.
And so that's what I'm curious is why I don't think if we're basing things off of the first Red Dead Redemption that we played, I think this is going to be totally different. And so I'm curious, how much are they going to transition over to a similar model as GTA? How much are they going to change from the original? Because that first one, as you said, is all about story.
Yeah.
It was all about the environment, the story. And when you think of GTA 5, I mean, the environment you think about and the story was entertaining, but now all they talk about is the online. So I'm just curious where this is going to go. I think I'm ready to be surprised, or we may find out that okay, they're not going for the online experience in the same manner as GTA Online.
Who knows? I mean,
maybe, and because they're going to be releasing another GTA here in a couple.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to compete with each other on that.
I'm really hoping that it's not that case because I'm really not interested. Not that I'm not interested in playing a multiplayer, but I'm interested in the Red Dead Redemption story. I really enjoyed the original Red Dead Redemption. I don't like many single player games. I don't like many story games. Really like Red Dead Redemption. Had a lot of fun playing it. Really looking forward to Red Dead Redemption.
I think Red Dead Redemption would be really good as a co-op. I
agree.
Doing some of those missions, having a equivalent of a posse that you ride around with, I think that would really work well. So if they can pull that off without it being some just crazy, you don't have to have 100 players running around on the same map. But I think if you had people that you could play through the story with or do certain quests with, I think that would be entertaining. So we'll see. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to bring that up because that's one thing that I think will be interesting, and it is coming up sooner than people expect.
Yes, it is.
I need to get my pre-order done.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you want to. There's no beta. Is there any incentive to pre-order?
They just have some bonuses.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. So well,
whatever pre-order bonuses.
No, that's yeah. So let's transition, Brian, into a game that we have not talked about in many a moons. If you're catching my drift, the game is called
Many Empty Moons.
Many Empty Moons. No Man's Sky. This game released August 12th of 2016. So almost 2 years ago at this point. It was $60 title.
That was one where you bought one game and I bought another game.
Yes, you made out like a bandit, and I was left with this heaping pile of junk. I don't remember what else came out.
I'm trying to remember what that game I got was, but
I don't remember what it was. But
I remember I did play it. But.
So that's what we're going to be talking about here. They have done a pretty big update. It's called No Man's Skies Next, and this is where they are doing all of the things that they said they were.
They claimed that they were going to do originally.
Yes, pretty much. So before we trash it too hard, here is, let's see. Here is their trailer. I'm having an issue with the video. Here's their quick little trailer. All right. Sorry for the audio listeners there. It would make sense it wouldn't make any sense to put any words in your trailer. So that's No Man's Sky.
Those might be used against them, though.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute. Don't stop stealing my thunder, damn it. We'll get into that in a minute. So this is No Man's Sky Next version 1.5. They've actually been doing updates with this, and I think you've put them in the notes maybe once or twice since the game came out when it was something of relevance. I'm going to just real quickly read the kind of their headline on this update. It says, Update 1.5 Next introduces a full, which remember that word, full multiplayer experience, near unlimited base building, command of firefight and a graphic overhaul. Armadas, yeah. I'm sorry, fire armadas and a graphical overhaul, and more. So they say full multiplayer, and if you scroll down just past the video, it says team up with a small group of friends and explore the universe together, or by joining random travelers. So it's not and Sean Murray, who is the guy behind all this nonsense, confirmed on Twitter that it isn't. You can team up with four-man groups. That's the group of friends. You can. This just came out today, so the information's a little shoddy because nobody's really experienced it. There were some numbers flown around, like at the most there can be 16 or 18 people in an area or something like that. That was a number I was reading. I don't know. But the group is a 4-player group for co-op. And then I think the thing is you're in a 4-player group, but then other 4-player groups can come across your group or randoms, but according to an interview, you can set it so that nobody else can join your session. It's not it doesn't appear that it's really multiplayer, and I may be wrong. I'm saying this right now.
It sounds like they're doing instance planets to where then they're letting people join an instance, but it fills up probably at a certain point, and then they just join another instance if another group comes.
Perhaps, and I do want to say I could be totally wrong on this information, but I'm literally just going off tweets and people's what people are saying they've played. Again, the game has not been out. This update has not been out like that long yet, so this information
came out today.
So I'm just trying to give you the information that I've read. Some of it could be wrong. If it is, and we get a correction, we'll cover that whenever we get that correction. But that's what I think it is at this point right now. So they've got that. The base building, they said they've totally overhauled. There's going to be weekly. They're going to be adding weekly content and community events. No microtransactions.
It's equivalent of a relaunch. I mean, is what it really.
And it's going to be out on the Xbox.
Yeah, they just announced or just released the Xbox.
Just released the Xbox version. Here's some of the base building components that they're showing here. So, this had me thinking, and I went back and did some research. Now, Sean Murray, who is the guy that lied about everything, did an interview with The Guardian. It's a written interview, and I'm just pulling one of the lines from his interview right now. This is a quote from him now. "The internet is really good at knowing when somebody has made a mistake," says Murray. "It's not necessarily the best at determining the most appropriate response, but it's really good at knowing when somebody has messed something up. We definitely messed up a whole bunch of communication. I never liked talking to the press. I didn't enjoy it when I had to do it, and when I did it, I was naive and overly excited about my game. There's a lot of things around launch that I regret or that I would do differently." There's a couple things I'm going to just call absolute bullshit on right off the bat. He clearly liked talking to the press. He was on every freaking late night TV show in the U.S. Yeah. He was on Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Fallon talking about his game. He was on all of the major tech blogs talking about in video talking about their game. That is bullshit. It could just complete and utter BS. There's just no other way around it. That is, I mean, not doing interviews and then saying, "Oh, I didn't really like talking to the press," would have been an accurate thing. This guy was everywhere. His face was plastered all over the internet.
Yep.
And he says that we definitely messed up a whole bunch of communication. It didn't appear that there was a mess up. There's a difference between messing something up and lying.
Yeah.
Messing up would be, I misspoke on a date. I said July 24th. I meant July 27th. That's a mess up. That's a communication mess up. Brian, we're going to be live next Wednesday. That's a mess up. We're going to be live next Monday. Yeah. That wasn't a lie. I wasn't saying we're going to be live on Wednesday trying to fool you. That was a miscommunication. There wasn't any ill intention with that.
I think he was saying the features of how they wanted it to be and he probably knew. I mean, he had to have some understanding. They put in what they wanted, like the dream of what they wanted it to be, and not the actual what they could deliver.
Well, I mean, once
they went and started trying to implement it, they realized it was harder than they probably anticipated.
Well, and to illustrate this, here is him on a couple of promises that he made before the game.
The only way for you to know what you look like is for somebody else to see you.
Can you run into other people, other players on the game?
Yes, but the chances of that are incredibly rare, just because of the size of what we're building.
Wow.
Can you land on a comment?
Yeah, at the moment you
Not
can.
true. Never could.
Can you customize the look of your character?
I don't know about that.
Sort of.
Do you ever get a good look at your character?
You can see other characters, and they can see you.
Will you be able to play with your friends?
Yeah.
Will there be DLC?
No.
So the DLC thing, I believe, is accurate at this point. There has not been any paid DLC.
They're not doing any microtransactions or anything like that.
Which they don't have the right to do anyway. So he at least was right about the DLC thing. You're going to be able to play with your friends is a lie. Was not the case, was never true. It's 2 years later. It's now just becoming true.
Same thing with being able to see your character. I mean, they've just added third-person perspective.
Yes. Landing on asteroids, was not in the game. It may be now. I may have missed it. It doesn't matter. It was not in the game. He said it was. And the thing that really gets me about this is you can see the hesitation in him answering questions, but he doesn't stop and say no or say I'm not sure or it's something we're looking to add. He just says
we'd like
yes.
to, but we're looking to see if
he's like a really bad sales guy that just yeses you on everything you want, knowing
he can help us say yes.
But that's a problem because you say yes, you're going to be able to land on asteroids. Yes, you're going to be able to play with your friends. None of that stuff is in the game on launch. None of it. None of it.
But the thing is they wouldn't have asked. Like Colbert, he wouldn't have asked a question without it being something that was already in the list of questions.
It was overhyped.
So I don't know, but I don't think Colbert would have asked something off the cuff like that, some off the cuff question. So this had to have been a question that was pre-screened. He knew it was going to be asked. I don't see, or asking if he could land on an Android. That's a pretty random question.
And this,
right?
And this article on The Guardian goes through and Sean talks about, death threats. And I'm not going to, of course, nobody's condoning sending death threats under any circumstances. But the criticism that they got and the hell that they went through was justified because Sean Murray flat out lied, not once, not twice, but numerous times about what was and wasn't going to be in the game. Knowingly overhyped the hell out of it. I mean, I'm not saying the death threats were justified. I'm not. But the backlash they got, not including the death threats, totally justified. They flat out freaking lied. Or not even he flat out freaking lied. Blatantly. Are you going to be able to play with your friends? Yes. You're going to be able to land on asteroids? Yes. No. None of that was in the game. And it's now 2 freaking years later. And now they're finally putting it in. And as PH says in chat, I find it funny that they're still being vague about this patch and group size. It's like they still have not been able to accomplish this. And they went silent for 6 months after this game came out because they were getting ripped to shreds on social media, justifiably.
I just don't understand why they wouldn't be incredibly upfront. Like, here's exactly how it all works.
Yeah.
I mean, they've realized that being incredibly vague makes people upset because people assume bigger things than what you're going to do usually when you're vague. With him, he promised things that were very untrue, but people that will then take that other information that you release vague answers to, and they'll that means that they're probably going to do this, and they'll make some big thing in their mind. Just say, here's how the multiplayer works. Here's how as far as worlds, and they are showing different things, but just say that if there's more than this many players, it's going to be instant. So you have the chance of running to this many other players. I just don't know why that's not something that they're willing to say very clearly now, especially after getting so much flack and backlash from previously doing it.
Yeah. So it's 4-man groups. Random people can join your group, but you can turn that setting off. It's just odd how they've got it all laid out. And the article's interesting on The Guardian that Sean that Sean goes through. They talk about being out of money, and at one point, and trying to find the quote I'm looking for. I'm not fine. I thought I bookmarked it. I guess I didn't. But there was a quote. Oh, here it is. In the lead up to the launch, oh my God, I would have chopped my own arm off to have more time, says Murray. We were under enormous pressure from the community and external forces. We were out of money. We were working so hard, way too hard. We've gotten much better balance in our lives now. There's a couple things here. We were being pushed by with enormous pressure from the community. That was your own fault. You put the expectation into front. This is why I don't have any sympathy for this guy. I mean, it's like he is going to sit here and say, "Oh, I would have cut off my arm to just have some more time." Well, why did you mislead everybody?
Yeah,
because if you didn't mislead
you should
everybody,
have said initially we're going to be releasing with this, and we're expecting to have this. And
What is
then
that
say
called,
what you're gonna
Brian?
Be doing.
Do any other games that we covered do that? What is that called? If there was only a name, if there was only a thing called early access in which you release part of the game and then expand onto it, if only literally every video game released today has that feature, they could have done that. Plenty of early access games in 2016. Ark was a great example of an early access game.
People would have been much easier on them if they would have released the original No Man's Sky as it was and say this is our initial early access release, and then we'll be adding these features over the next year. I think people would not have gotten all that flack that it did. People would have said, "Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it," and they would have been willing to support it over that years as they put those features in. And they would have continued to make sales.
Well, and he actually has a quote about that. He says, if we hadn't released No Man's Sky when we had, and I was sat down talking to you now after we delayed it for 2 years, we would not have a game as good as it is right now. And then you'll see a comment thread when somebody will say, it's my favorite game of all time. That's fantastic. I never expected to work on something that would have people saying that about it.
No.
It's interesting that so his takeaway is that if they hadn't released such a broken game, they would have just been kicking the can down the road and not releasing it, and that would have pissed people off even more. And I guess that's kind of a catch-22. You really don't know. If they would have delayed the game for 2 years, the outrage would have been just
the thing is, that's where they should have just done early access.
I agree.
Release the one that they had at that time. People would have their hands on it and say, we're going to be doing, and do what they did. I mean, they put out these major versions that added more and more features. But the thing is, it was supposedly a finished game.
Yep.
And people didn't give it another look because they figured, well, here's the game I bought. It's no good. And they uninstalled the game. They knew that they were going to be getting this 1.3, 1.4, now 1.5 version numbers that had major content updates in them. They've done, even though they're not calling it early access, that's what it is.
Yeah. And
they did an early access model, but they just got really bad press in the beginning.
Yeah, and PH making a good point, and this is something that we've talked about in the past about pre-ordering games. This is kind of the scary part about pre-ordering. I didn't pre-order No Man's Sky. I purchased it the day it came out, but I purchased it right away, and at that point, nobody was criticizing the game within the first 6 hours of it being out. People were still learning it and figuring it out. So
they start going to planets.
Yeah, and then starting to realize that, hey, the whole game is literally going from planet to another planet, getting fuel, going to another planet, getting fuel. So, that's No Man's Sky. They've got a new update out. I'm gonna install it at some point in the next couple weeks and give it a try. But they deserve all of the crap they got, and I'll do it quick now. I thought I had it pulled up, but there is actually a lot of people playing the game right now. I think they've sold about 3.5 million copies. The Steam spies all over the place, but anywhere between 3 and 4 million copies of the game have been sold, and they've got right around 38,000. They've got about 40,000 players playing the game right now. Their peak when the game released was 212,000. And Firebomb is reminding us that No Man's Sky is 50% off right now. So if you go to the,
I was tempted to pick it up.
You can go to
the thing is, I'll wait a day and see.
Yeah, now
what people think tomorrow.
And real quick, within the last 30 days, 83% of the reviews, and that's 1,400 of them, are very positive. So they've got a very positive rating now. Overall, 39% of the overall reviews for the game are negative. So they've got an issue with that. But this game is on sale till July 27th, which is Friday. You can get it for $29. I don't think it's worth $29.
I'd probably get it on the PS4.
I may not be the best person to be giving you opinion. No matter what, this game, I'm not going to have a positive opinion of this game, even if the relaunch is good, because of how scummy this company is and how Sean Murray just flat out lied. So
Yeah.
even if it's all right, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
If people are considering it, I would recommend going and watching some of the Twitch streamers that are streaming it. I mean, there's plenty of people streaming it. Go there and watch what they're doing. See if it starts to seem repetitive. Watch them for an hour and see, are they doing enough variety? Does it seem like the base building they have, the ships, all this stuff. See if they find someone who's gotten to that level and see if that's enough for you. Because, I mean, beyond this, do you think that there's going to be that much more that they're going to add, really, other than maybe cosmetics? And I think this is the game that they promised for the most part, other than being a huge world. But it does have multiplayer. It has all those things that he kept saying, other than maybe landing on a meteor. So I think this may be what they consider possibly the final game, other than now releasing things that'll be DLC, and not DLCs, but extra little cosmetics or fixes, maybe some more building parts, things like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think there really is anything else for them to do. And I was reminded when I was doing some research before the show, this studio, Hello Games, I think is their name. Hello Games. It's only like a dozen guys. So it's a very, very small group of people. And I would imagine that they won't, I doubt they'll release another title under that studio name because of the backlash and just the negative connotation with the studio because of that game. But I would assume once they get this solid, they'll probably just be done with it, maybe. I mean, I don't know. They don't have a DLC or anything to be making continued money on, so I'm not really sure how much longer they're going to keep it up. There's no point. They're not making any money on it, and that's at the end of the day what drives it. You can't keep. Well,
that's an issue. Is they said we will not have microtransactions, which we've discussed this before. That's the downside. How long do you expect them to continue putting out new content for a game that has no continued revenue stream, that has no way of making a decent amount of money to cover possible, large teams working on features and things like that? It's great to say no microtransactions, but the issue is how long. You can't expect companies to continue working on a game over a long period of time if you're not going to allow them to have that some form of income.
Well, and that's the thing is that's my big gripe with people that bitch and complain about paying for things after it's a lose-lose. The developer doesn't make any more money because they're not charging you for anything, and then eventually their support stops in a much quicker way than it would if they continued to charge for stuff. I'm not opposed. Yeah. I'm not a fan of games that make you buy that are crazy with microtransactions, where at every corner there's a prompt to buy this or buy that. But having the option to purchase things after launch in itself is not inherently bad. It's that when it's abused, I guess is the word to use. When they abuse it, when every single time you do anything, there's a pop-up that says, "Oh, for 400 coins, you can do this or do that." I mean, that would be like in Conan when you ran out of building materials. If you're trying to build sandstone walls and you're shy of that 38 rock required. Yes.
We'll give it to you.
Well, you want another wall? It's only 10 coins or whatever it is. That's the abuse of microtransactions. That nobody wants. But having a revenue source after the game is out is not a bad thing. I don't know why the internet is so stupid when
that's one thing I think Conan did well is they're putting out unique base building components so that you can have a different looking base, you can have a different looking outfit. I think that and it's not game changing. It doesn't make it so you have a base that's better protected or anything like that. I think that is a smart way to continue having an income. But the danger is it turns around and then turns into, we were talking about shark cards earlier. I mean, if you look at the expense that those are, I mean, I was looking at some people talking about an update that we'll be talking about in a little bit here for GTA Online, and someone says, "Oh, but I don't have the money to be able to get that feature on day one." And Okay, but you do if you're willing to put in $100 or whatever. You're paying multiples of what the original game cost is, just to get new features of the game, which I don't agree with.
Well, but see, now I would disagree because it's not forcing you to do that. If you want the features, yes, you do. But see, this is the thing: you can grind to
But
get
that's
them.
an online competitive. That's an online competitive environment to where you're having more than the person next to you and better capabilities, whether it be vehicles, weapons, things like that, based on real world money.
Yeah,
it's different than Conan.
I agree it's different than Conan, but I don't think you're using the word competitive in the proper sense. GTA is not. I don't think that's not competitive. There's not I mean, there may be a leaderboard, but there's not a leaderboard. I mean,
no.
and here's the reality of the situation: if somebody has got enough discretionary income where they can just buy the game out, what do you really? I mean, do we expect the developer not to? I mean, Brian, if a developing company came to us and said, "We want half of your show to be about our game every single week, and we're going to give you $1,000 a week to do it," we'd probably do it.
Yeah.
You'd absolutely, actually, no, we would absolutely do that. I mean, we'd absolutely do it. We would clear $4,000 or $5,000 a month a piece for doing our regular show that we do every single week. I mean, that would be, we'd be insane not to take that. I mean, that's a full-time job at that point. And that's what's that's what's frustrating to me is I totally agree with what you're saying. Totally agree. But as for the developer, if somebody's willing to drop $100 to get this or that, how can you not take their money?
I mean, it comes down to, but the thing is the long term of it. Most games, GTA is unique in how big and good the game is. People will continue playing it because there's just so many people in the world that have the game, and some people will throw money at it. But most games don't have that flexibility to be able to make a big mistake and do something in a poor way and maintain their player base. Sarah's bringing up the GTA Shark card model is pretty broken at the moment.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying that I'm talking about the whole online buying things in game. I don't think that's inherently bad. I don't want to get into, well, GTA doesn't do it right, or this game does or doesn't. But there is this negative stigma.
Most games can afford to do it wrong. And that's the issue is most games can afford to do it wrong because if they do it wrong, like people just go on to another game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the point I'm just trying to make is it's, of course, Conan comes out and says, or not Conan, jeez, No Man's Sky comes out and says, no DLC, no microtransactions. And then, they assume the internet rejoices, and people do, but then development, obviously the game has been stagnant for 2 years, but then the development stops after 6 months, 8 months after the game is released because the money's all dried up and they can't afford to have 60 people working on the game because there's no more money rolling in. You've bought the game once and that's it. So it's a real double-edged sword.
Like a game like this, what seems like it would be smart to do is have different ships that are not mechanically different, right? Have different tiers of ships that you can get. And you can get these different size ships from playing the game. But then you can have different looking ships. Now they're not stronger firepower. They don't have more storage. Whatever it is, the features of this ship are, you can get very different looking ships to be your personal ship, kind of like a base. And that's where you put in money and you get what looks like a very different, unique ship, but it still has every capability. It goes the same distance. It does everything in the same way. That seems like that would be a good model to where, okay, I wouldn't mind if someone pays money and gets a different looking ship than me, as long as my ship is as good as your ship. That's all I care about. It seems like they could come up with ways of what they're calling microtransactions to improve the game without taking the game out of balance.
Yeah, it's totally a it's almost a lose. Is it wrong to say it's a lose-lose? You don't incorporate it.
Someone will be mad no matter what. I mean, that's the issue. Exactly. Is the internet. Someone will be upset with no matter how you do it. But the thing is I just wish they wouldn't have painted themselves into a corner like this. They said early on, because of his mouth, that's one thing that he just says stuff without thinking it through, right? Is what I've gathered from Sean Murray.
What makes you say that?
And so he said early on, because it was something that would make people buy the game and be like, oh, that's great. No microtransactions. Well, okay.
No game either. Woohoo!
Look where we're at now.
Yeah.
Okay, no future game. What if the game ends up being really cool? Well, they're not going to be able to continue it because they said no microtransactions. They're not going to have another way to be able to bring in enough income to continue improving the game because they won't be able to get enough new sales. Doesn't matter how good it is. A year from now, they could be selling a consistent number a month, but if it's just enough to maintain, are they going to be really putting out that much new content?
You look at WoW. I mean, WoW's the greatest example of it ever. They've been charging for that game for what? 12 years? I don't know how long WoW's been.
$15 a month.
Yeah. For 12 years they've been literally
they charge you for each
DLC
release.
Yeah, or each map.
And you have to buy, if you buy a current one, you have to buy you used to have to buy all the previous ones. I think they just changed this time. You have to buy like 4 versions of the game total. I mean, they had it, but they knew it was a good enough game. People would buy it.
Yes, and then that, bingo. You hit the nail on the head. Let's stop with that. That's it right there. You don't have a problem. People don't get pissed off buying things when your game is good. Why are people not? Oh, some people are, but why is the majority of people not pissed off at Fortnite charging $10 a month for the battle pass? Because the game is freaking fun and people like playing it. Why would people bitch and complain at H1Z1 for doing stuff like that? Because the game sucks and it's broken. And when you've got a broken game and then you decide, oh, well, we're going to start charging for all this stuff, and H1Z1 sells crates and whatnot. But you take the example, when your game is really good, it doesn't really matter what you do. And GTA is the greatest example. It doesn't matter what they do with their shark card program. They can charge $1 million to buy a shark card. People are still going to go out and buy the $60 game, play the multiplayer, and guess what? When the next one comes out, we'll be sitting on this show losing our minds over the trailer. Same thing with a game like Fallout. They can damn near do whatever they want. Fallout 76 may push that to the limit with the whole multiplayer thing, but when you do it all, it doesn't matter. But when you have a subpar product and then you tackle on the thing that everybody hates, which is microtransactions and DLC for crap that should just be in the game, that's when people get pissed off. Not buying things online, not paying for additional features. I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing that at all. But not when you have a subpar game. When you've got a good game, what it is, what it is. I mean, I've contemplated buying the Conan DLC, not because I necessarily want it, but I first of all, we didn't pay for the game, and it's just like, hey, I'm enjoying playing it. Here we go. I'll buy the $15 DLC. Call it a day.
Yep.
It's not the end of the world. I don't mind that they're charging for the DLC. I don't care. I'll buy it. You don't. It's fine.
Having the DLC doesn't impact your game in a significant way.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this guy has so much more than I do because he has that DLC. It's a nice, fun perk. It just gives you a little bit of variety. I think that they did it in a good way.
Absolutely. So after about an hour of No Man's Sky talk and a whole bunch of other stuff, I thought that was a good conversation. So, you want to do a game?
Want to do the game giveaway really quick?
Yeah. What do we got?
All right. So let's go ahead and do exclamation point giveaway in chat. And this will be a 60 points raffle. So if you've been in chat for an hour, you should be able to get this. And I'm going to be giving away a copy of Hearts of Iron 4. And this is about a $30 title right now. So, and I'll put a link to it in chat here. Yeah, page pulled up for it. But this is, and let's see, kind of a right page up here. It came out in 2016. It's got very positive ratings. It's a strategy World War II historical game. Yeah, it's $39.99 currently. And it's kind of Saul's kind of game. If Saul doesn't enter for this,
he already did.
He may have it already. Okay, I was going to say this is a Saul game. It's put out by Paradox Studio, Grand Strategy, and so this is a similar game to what he plays all the time. But it looked like it'd be fun for some of our audience. And so if you're interested in that exclamation point giveaway, and we'll give away right before the end of the show here in about 30 minutes.
Yes. Real quick, but I just want to cover this quickly because it's something that we can just run through real quick. Fortnite just had a couple of quick updates this week. Version 5 5.0 actually. This is the content update 5.0. And what we've got with this is a couple new guns. First thing here is a new submachine gun in the Battle Royale mode. You can see what that looks like there. They've got a new assault rifle this is for Save the World. It's called the Typewriter Assault Rifle.
It's like a Tommy gun.
A Tommy gun. And then you can get Save the World for 50% off. And this ends July 30th, so you've got till Saturday to do that. Let's flip on over to update 5.1 rather. And Fortnite's the Battle Royale mode's first birthday is coming up. So they're doing a special event for that. Is that tomorrow? Is that the date?
Well, it's actually, I think it's their playground mode is turned back on tomorrow.
So that must be
when they released originally.
Okay, so they've got that. As Brian said, the Battle Royale playground mode is back on. That's turning back on Wednesday. So that's in there, and then there's a new compact SMG for Battle Royale, and then some stuff for Save the World. So kind of a quick little Fortnite thing there. I do want to quickly mention our friend Firebomb.
Yeah, it was tomorrow a year ago that they released.
Perfect. So there's going to be some cake and stuff in game. They say we've got a birthday plan for hashtag Fortnite first, and you're invited to eat cake, party, and bring your friends. Each birthday challenge you complete unlocks a slice of the birthday cake cosmetic set. Right up there, fits the game perfectly. Birthday cake cosmetic stuff. But I do really quickly want to just make a comment. I don't know if there's really any discussion to be had about it. But our friend Firebomb has been playing Fortnite recently, and he made a comment earlier in chat that I took, and he said that he's really liking Fortnite because he plays it with his kids. See, that's the key thing here with this game. It's not about Fortnite. I don't know why it's such a complicated thing to understand. It's not the game. It's who you're playing with. It's the same thing with that we talk about all the time. It's the only reason I've enjoyed playing Fortnite is I've been able to play video games with my friends I grew up with that I played Xbox games with.
Yeah.
Xbox 360 games with. I've not played games with them since the Xbox 360. That's why I've enjoyed playing Fortnite. Nothing to do with Fortnite itself. Now, it doesn't hurt that Fortnite's a pretty decent game, but it's not really what I'm playing.
Yep. And so that's the thing is if you can get a good group of people, whether it's PUBG, Fortnite, Conan, you'll enjoy it more. You could hate any one of those games if you're playing it by yourself.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
If you get a good people to play with, you will enjoy the game.
Yep. So thought that was an interesting note to bring up, and so hop in the Fortnite over the next. I'll probably load it up here at some point in the next week or so and try to get some of that stuff. Oh, and thanks Firebomb saying ban PH for 100 cheers. I mean, there you go. That's unfortunately that's not how we do things, but yeah, it's solid. We've got a great community here.
All right, so one thing I wanted to talk about. So initially, there's some things with PUBG, but there's some controversy I want to talk a little bit later with it as well. Initially they've released some new skins. They have their PGI, which is their invitational PUBG Global Invitational that's going on right now. They have some hoodies that they put out for that, and then there's a website that's dedicated to it that talks about all the different things of the games that they'll be doing for that. And so if you're interested in the invitational, that's being streamed tomorrow through the 29th.
Oh, cool.
And they'll be releasing some special skins for that. So you can check out the schedule. They'll be having matches throughout the day on all of those days. Another thing is there's a new Prime skin that they released. And so I put an image of it, and
let's hear it.
I wanted to get your opinion, Nick.
I want to get your opinion.
Matches what we were promised, because this is for PC. This is something up to this point we've said PC has not done any crazy skins, and I feel like this is finally starting to cross the line into what we were promised would not happen.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because I mean, this does not fit any of the feel of what I think PUBG is going for.
I agree with you completely. Agree with you completely. And I'm not a PUBG apologist. That this has been documented. I mean, I enjoy the game. I like Brandon. He's been very generous to us with some stuff, but I've been very critical of the game.
Yeah.
While yes, this does not fit the normal theme. this is a specific skin associated with Twitch. That's why it's purple. We've got some type of purple towel, a neck pillow
it's
for
like
an
it came
airplane.
out of a bath. It's got a towel and a bathrobe,
Yes.
sandals, and a neck brace for
It's a neck,
sleeping on a plane.
It's a neck pillow, not a neck brace.
Yeah.
Neck braces. I mean, that's how Brian puts on a neck brace before he
bracing your
flies. This is a special thing associated with Twitch.
But the thing is, they're in the game forever.
I know. But I'm just saying, if this
I'd rather have seen a Twitch parachute like we almost freaked about a year ago.
Okay, I'll agree. If this was if they just released these skins into the game by themselves, I would say, okay, this has now crossed the line. But this is a partner deal with Twitch. It fits the style of Twitch. Okay, it's not crazy, Brian. Does it fit the style? Does it 100% fit the style of the game? No. But it's not insane. Like there's no horse mask or anything crazy. I mean, if you put on if you put on any of those tops, the jacket tops with regular clothing, I don't think it would look that crazy. If you put that on with a pair of jeans in game and a hat, I don't think that would look that insane.
I just think that this is them stepping over that line and starting to go in that direction. I think after this, all promises are off.
Okay, now that may be now if that's the case, now we've got a different story. If this is just because this is a deal with Twitch,
testing the waters, they got a lot of this is so cool. This is enough on the border. I think this is them testing the waters, and I think after this, it's going to be to where because one thing I asked is why did they not release when they did the dead mouse? Why did they not release that helmet that he was wearing that had the frying pans for ears and all that? I was surprised that they didn't release that.
That's my point.
Box.
They've been
I
very.
think that will be next. I think they will do that now.
Oh, they might. They've been very disciplined. This is a special event. I'm not giving them a pass. I'm just giving them some leeway. I'm not giving them leeway. I want to see what the further actions are. If the next set of skins fall right back in line with what we've got right now in the game, I think this is simply a special event skin. Plain and simple. It's just a special event. That's what they're doing. It's for Twitch. It's purple. It's a little risque in terms of this. If it were
a limited time skin that you could have, why not do limited time skins for the next 3 months? This will be in game and then it'll go away. Like they could do that and get away with it.
I mean, they could. As I said earlier, if this was their own doing by themselves, very different reaction. It's a partnership with Twitch.
It's their choice.
Brian, I'm not saying that's not their point, but if they just all of a sudden went all H1Z1 and just released a bunch of wrestling skins into the game, I would be like, what in the hell is going on here? This is a partnership with Twitch. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I want to see what comes of this. What the next thing is. If the next step is more of this garbage, then I agree with you completely. They lied about their. They didn't lie, but they misspoke.
Realizing that they're not making enough money off of just releasing new maps. Like there's no way that they can make the amount of money that they need to and stay up. And so I think that just like we saw with H1Z1, when they realized, when we release crazy skins, people buy them.
Yes.
People pitch money at us, throw money at us hand over fist when we release crazy, silly looking skins. And I think that if they get more sales off of this than they do off of the previous ones, then I think that this will be the point where they'll be like, okay, well, we just now need to start going in the same direction that H1Z1 and Fortnite does it. But the thing is, it matches the game style that they've made.
This is true. I don't like these skins. Part of a special event thing, and part of that discipline in the past is they're giving me the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt right now because of that. Yeah, because they have been disciplined. They could have gone and released crazy stuff in the past. I
was surprised by this.
I'm surprised as well, and I'm very curious to see.
It matches the feel of the game less than anything they've released before.
I would agree with that completely. If this is the outlier, I can live with that. If this becomes the norm, that is not okay.
Yeah. So I mean, on time will tell in the next couple of months.
Mhm.
We'll see with the next set of skins that they release.
Yeah.
If they kind of realize, oh, we need to pull back a bit. But I think if they make money off of this, you know, I don't know that
Well, is this part of Twitch Prime, or do you have to buy these separately?
these are the Prime skins
So you don't
that
pay.
are
So
part of the.
you're not paying for them
No,
anyway.
they're free. You're not paying for them.
That's my
but
point.
it's and they're going to be doing a couple more. They have a list of 3 more sets of skins that they're going to be giving away with Twitch Prime.
Yeah, and
So those haven't been released. So it'll be interesting to see what those ones are.
And PH is saying Brandon at PAX? He demands answers. If Brandon is at PAX, which we assume
We'll ask him,
we
'cause
assume
we'll
he
say
will
a
be.
year ago you told us this.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't think that's anything crazy to say. And I could make up an answer right now that, you know, say, hey, year ago, a lot of things have changed. We've seen success of other games, and so yada yada yada. I'm sure there will be an answer.
And if he says that, then I would accept that answer as saying, okay, now the game. This is what the game's going to turn into. But as I said, we were promised this, and
yes,
I feel like this is kind of going. This is going against that promise.
This is true. So if this is the norm, we got big problems. If this is the outlier, is it great? No, but I'm sure we'll get over it.
All right, so now here's kind of going to some of the controversy. So there was a skin that they were going to release, and it was a pilot's mask that had the rising sun imagery on the side of it. And people got mad because that is, you know, the Imperial Japanese military. That's their symbol. And I don't understand, first of all, why they're so upset about this. There's not as negative of a connotation as with like Nazi symbolism.
Well, that's not true. I mean, what game recently had Nazi symbolism and people lost their freaking minds?
The rising sun image isn't as negatively looked upon as Nazi symbolism is.
Okay, at least in the U.S.
And so, in the U.S., but of course over in Korea, I mean the if you look at these other countries that surrounded Japan at the time of the war, they would have a much more negative view on that because they were the ones directly impacted it more on a daily basis. And so I think they didn't appreciate, just like, you know, people wouldn't appreciate Nazi symbolism possibly in this. I think that they're viewing it in the exact same way. So they said that it was insensitive, and they requested that it be taken down.
Who is they? South Korea's government?
No, there was just a lot of outcry. I mean, there was the internet, the Korean and Chinese internet. They just, a lot of people said that it was offensive, and so they said some things. It was posted on a Chinese blog or a news site that kind of initially got the ball rolling on it, and then it got to Bluehole that this was an issue, and so they reversed this. I'm sure they could release the skin. All they do is just take that rising sun image off of it, you know, and put something slightly different, just like they do with the Nazi symbolism. If you look at Call of Duty World War II, they made a kind of an alternate symbol for it,
which I think is stupid in that respect too. I mean, it's a video game, folks. Get over it. I mean, it's just like, stuff like this it doesn't upset me. It's just stupid.
All right, so let's move on to what I think is more of. There's a second part to this that I think is more of a concern than this. I wasn't super offended. I wasn't offended at all by the rising sun. It's a piece of history.
Would you be offended by Nazis? Would you be a person that is offended by like Nazi symbolism in a video game?
But I wouldn't, because I know how people would use it. Exactly. I know how. I'm
asking you. I'm saying, would you be offended by it?
I wouldn't be offended, but I wouldn't want it in there because I know what people would be. I wouldn't want like a mask or a shirt that had a Nazi symbol on it that people could wear.
Yeah, I guess, you know what, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? I don't mind it being a game around places, but the thing is, the second that someone puts it on and they're wearing all Nazi symbols, that's just where it would go.
I'm glad you said that, because you're right. That is a huge difference here. In a lot of games like Call of Duty, you're referencing there would be swastikas flying on banners when you're like storming a town. This is an actual wearable skin. So I'm glad you said that. That's the difference. I think. Yeah.
Is that when people put them on, they're then identifying themselves with it or trying to put it in people's faces. And I don't know that I want people running around with Nazi stuff all over them, you know, teabagging me in the middle of a game. And so I think that's the issue. And I think for them, it's more personal. I think that if we kind of think of our minds of the same symbol, because that symbol doesn't mean as much to us. Just think of it as a Nazi symbol. I think that's probably what they're getting. That's why they had uproar about it.
Yeah. Now I was just saying, a couple people in chat are saying where, there's no reason to censor stuff like that. And then there's a majority of people that have that.
But the thing is, would you wear a Nazi symbol, a helmet with a Nazi symbol on it? I mean, here that has a very negative connotation.
It does. And I think I say wear. I mean, that's what somebody.
I don't think anything of the rising sun. I don't think it has no personal meaning to me. It's all about what.
Oh, and I think and a context is important too. I mean, if you're playing a video game where you're a Nazi in World War II and you've got a Nazi symbol on you, I mean, that's the game you're playing, right? That's a little bit different.
One where you're creating your own character.
There's
a
little
no
bit
preset character or storyline in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, another thing that they ran into is that there were bots that play in the tablet phone version of this. And one of them was named Unit 731, which most people would say, okay, what's that? But this was the equivalent. I don't know if this was equivalent. Was it Goebbels? Not Goebbels. Mengele. In World War II, there was Mengele who did a lot of scientific in quotes experiments on humans, and a lot of the Jews and people in concentration camps. They would take them and do horrific things to them. The equivalent, there's almost the exact same thing was happening over in Japan during World War II as well. They were taking people, mostly prisoners of war, but also people from surrounding villages, people in China. They really, they did some horrific things. I mean, I'll give you some examples, just so you can put in connotation why people over in Korea and China are taking offense to that a bot was named Unit 731. The people in China, they had, in Japan, they had this factory. They called it a factory or a log mill. And that's what they claimed that it was. But the problem is that the logs were what they were calling humans in it, because they in their minds, they thought of them as nothing more than a piece of wood. They could do with it what they wanted to. And so they would take people and they would get them to contract different viruses, syphilis and things like that. And then they would watch them over time to see how their bodies affected. And then when they got to a certain stage, they would do different people, different stages. They would then start cutting them open while they're alive to see how their body was reacting to these different diseases. Now, these are not diseases that the people already had. These are diseases that they gave them. They did frostbite studies on people. So they would freeze parts of their body and then see how they could defreeze them. And this is men, women, and children. They did this to little babies as well. And so, I mean, just to give you a little perspective, this is what people over in China, they would get fleas, huge amounts of fleas, and then they would drop them over Chinese villages and then see how many people died, and then go in there with white suits and go and look and see how people were dying from the fleas.
Okay, but I've got to stop here for a second.
Yeah.
Clearly, this was not an intentional thing put into the game.
It was put up by a developer.
Well, okay, but
somebody typed it in thinking.
Well, but hold on a second. Is this unit and then number a common name scheme that they use in the game?
No, there was no. They said that there wasn't a unit 730 and a unit 732. There was no other numbers. This is a specific unit that was very well known at the time and very well known in that area.
No. But what I'm saying is
this isn't an automatic naming scheme.
That's what I'm asking you.
Someone typed it in manually.
Okay, well then you've got a person. Then you've got a bad egg doing that.
Yeah, and so and I mean, this could be someone in Japan. I mean, who knows? We don't know. This is the mobile game. First of all, one thing is
not even made by them.
Here's the issue: when you put your name, you give your name to someone else. Things like this, we could look at Brandon and say, well, what in the world's going on? Well, the thing is they're not making this game, right? I mean, they're licensing this game to have some other company pretty much make on the mobile. But I just think that this is, I don't know. I think that things like this, it's tough when we have such a worldwide game. You could put things in there that, like, we look at it and if I saw Unit 731 initially, I'd be like, whatever. But obviously there's people there that this is being made in Korea. That's the odd thing. Like, I think these are mostly Korean. These aren't Americans making this and not realizing that people take offense to that. It'd be like someone maybe in Japan making a game and having Nazi symbols in it and not thinking anything of it, right? Because to them it doesn't mean as much.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a weird. It's weird that these things are coming up all at once. And it's not that it's a huge deal, but it'd be like us saying, having a character named Auschwitz in a game, like an NPC. Well, why would you do it? Like, what's the point? Why did someone type in Auschwitz for a video game character? I mean, that's the equivalent of this.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just weird. Anyways, that's some controversy that's going. And obviously, I don't think this isn't the company saying, well, we need to put these things in there. I mean, it's not intentional, but obviously there's developers that are being cheeky, right? They're thinking, they're just trying to be, I don't know, edgy maybe.
I don't know, but I'm going to say this, Brian. I mean, yes, this stuff it could be offensive, but I mean, everybody needs to lighten up about some of this stuff in general across the entire world. I get it. This stuff is awful and terrible, but I mean, this garbage has got to stop. I mean, I'm not talking about this case in particular, but I'm just talking in general. Even with the mask, I mean, that stuff's got to stop. I mean, get over it. I'm sorry. I mean,
I don't think,
this should happen forever ago.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is, I look at it, I'm not highly offended by it, but obviously there's people there that in Korea and China that still get upset by these things.
And that sucks that they get upset because it was a terrible thing. But according to the Wikipedia page, this Unit 731 thing existed between 1935 and 1945.
Yeah, shut down when they lost the war.
I mean, let's just move on a little. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, but look how upset people get over Nazi stuff still.
But that's my point. I'm saying in general. I mean, these are video games, for Christ's sakes. Get over it. If you don't like it, if it's offensive, don't play the damn game. But I mean, just get over it.
It has to be where the generation, like, people still get upset about slavery and
I don't I know.
We wouldn't get political, but I'm saying, like, you could say, oh, a generation needs to pass and then people won't be upset. I don't know that people just want to be, they'll be upset for other people's sake. There's not going to be a point where it's like, okay, it's done.
There's a difference between being upset about something that's actually happening and something that's happening in a video game. And these are video games that we're talking about. We're not talking about real life events going on. We're talking about a skin in a video game. We're not talking about like a town council voting to make their logo a swastika. That is a different story than Call of Duty putting a swastika on a flag in the background. Those are two incredibly different things. So with this whole video game stuff, everybody just needs to chill out with this stuff, especially with video games. What I'm talking about? I'm not talking about.
Well, and I think that they should be like, if you're doing a game that is about Germany versus the United States in World War II, it didn't make any sense to me that they wouldn't put the Nazi symbol
because they were afraid because this is the reaction. You're seeing the reaction right now. This is the reaction to it. They're afraid.
I think we should be allowed to put things in context.
It has nothing to do with being allowed. It has nothing to do with being allowed. I mean, you're talking about history.
The public should allow. Yeah, you shouldn't try to.
Well, guess what?
Censor history.
Well, the problem is these game developers are so afraid of the pub. Again, this is the same thing we see with the spam in chat to get what you want. I mean, we look at Daybreak. The same thing. Yeah. You bitch and complain enough on Reddit, they literally wipe out ruin the game because you posted on Reddit. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
These game developers are just so afraid of a small group of people, because that's mostly what it is. A small group of people getting very offended by anything or wanting a change for anything. So they just don't want to deal with it. I don't get it.
Anyways, I mean, it would be an interesting post-show discussion. We can go in more, but That's some of the controversy. I just wanted to bring it up so people, if anyone heard about it, they had an understanding of why someone was upset or why people are even bringing it up. Because the image, I look at that and I didn't think anything of it.
Gotcha.
Unit 731 doesn't mean a lot to me, but that's what the whole thing is. Now, there was a tweet that came out here in this past couple days by Poopy Queen. And she did say that they have a big update coming right after this invitational. So they're going to be doing some UI improvements, quality of life changes, that because people are talking about some frustrations with just constant issues in the game. I think a lot of it is there's some other good VR games out right now that work pretty well. And so I think that they're realizing those maps aren't going to be enough to hold it up. Like they have to make a solid game for people to continue playing it. You can make all the maps in the world, but if the game doesn't feel right, so I think they're going to try to make it to where it feels better. So
yeah. All right. Well, we've got Brian. I'm looking at our notes here, and thanks for doing some of the research on that PUBG stuff.
Yeah,
we have covered not even half of our notes, and we've got like 20 minutes left.
Do you have a preference on any? So one thing, there's a video. We talked about GTA Online. Do you want to play that video really quick? Because there's not a lot of discussion, but there is a new video for GTA Online.
Okay, I can play that. Yeah,
let
me get that queued up here. What is this that we're watching?
And this is GTA Online After Hours. So this is one of those things. I mean, it dovetails on what you're talking about. If you allow them to make money, they can put out pretty big content updates after that, and just dovetail them into the game.
Gotcha. Well, here it is, GTA Online.
I ran the 1980s. I was the 1990s. I'm Gay Tony, and I'm back. Going back to what we do best, a dance music paradise. You can do whatever you want down here. Set up a hub for your other businesses, I know nothing. But get me a DJ!
Let's get to the disco. Great music, great crowd. Big up the London Massive.
I love narcissism.
My wife a talent.
But there's a limit here.
Spared no expense. Well, it was a cheap plane, but whatever.
Tony?
Yeah.
I don't think you can say Gay Tony anymore. It's not PC. The internet will go crazy.
All right. Of course, Gay Tony from GTA 4. Anybody that's played the episodes of Liberty City, there's the Gay Tony DLC. So that's available, today?
Yep, just came out today. So I mean, just they're adding more content, making the world bigger, giving people more stuff to do online, and so that's how it works.
Gotcha. All right, let's do some rapid fire here.
Okay, so Realm Royale came out with a balance patch, not a huge amount in it. So this is mainly because they were trying to get to where, and this is on the test server. So this is them testing if you want to have any input. If you do play Realm Royale and you want to have input, make sure they're going in the right direction. I would encourage you to install the test server, and then go through and see how it does. Give them some feedback. But this is them trying to get their different characters to balance with one another, so there's not one character that's better than another one.
Yeah, and going through this, this is a big balance pad. I'll just read one of the classes: the Warrior, the Heroic Leap no longer deals damage. The jump strength has been reduced by 20%, and air control has been reduced from 90% to 50%. So as you can see, big 90 to 50. In any context is a big number. So they're doing a lot of balancing. Yep. It's been our biggest issue with Realm Royale is balance. So it's good to see that they're sticking up on top of that and getting all that stuff done. Real quick, another update for a game that we talk about is Ark Survival Evolved. And they've got a quick update here. This is 281.110. This was actually released today. And there's just a couple quick things on here. The first one being they removed the ability to join a tribe as a tribe leader. You can only merge tribes. They fixed for the tech sort exploit and fixed for a rendering exploit. So just kind of what we've expected from Ark and what we'll expect to continue to see from Ark in the future. These just
Until
little
the next expansion.
Yep, just
Their
these
DLC gets released.
Exactly. Little updates, fixes, so on and so forth.
So there was one thing I kind of mentioned, but we'll go over it really quickly. Blackwake, they had an update they put out a little while ago, but we always been busy, so we've not covered it. But they have 3 new ships that they put in there. And then they've just done some improvements to the connections and the way that the servers work together. So if you haven't played that, they did 3.2 here in the last couple of weeks. I think it was like the day before the last show. They put out an update. So if you play Blackwake, go check it out because they have some new ships in there. I wanted to mention We Happy Few, August 10th. So it's coming out in a couple of weeks. We've already shown some things for that. You had mentioned that there was one thing is Overwatch.
Yeah.
Let's on ESPN. And so that's something that
hopefully we can have this discussion more in the next couple of weeks, but Saturday night the Overwatch League playoff was on ESPN2. And for people, maybe, I think this is an America thing, but for people that aren't in the United States, ESPN is the largest. If you have a cable subscription, you have ESPN and ESPN2. Those are default. Anybody that has a cable subscription has those channels. And if you've ever been out to a bar, every bar that with more than a dozen TVs has got ESPN and ESPN2 on, because there's only a handful of sports channels. So Saturday night, pictures started surfacing on social media, and my cousin actually texted me a screenshot. He was somewhere having dinner with my aunt and uncle, and sent me a picture of the Overwatch League on a TV in whatever restaurant they were at, because they had ESPN probably on at the bar. So I thought, and I'm not going to
think compared to a baseball game, there's a lot more action. I mean, if you're going to put something up on TV that's even just in a bar like that, there's a lot more action to the video game, and it's people now enough people play video games to where they'll go up and they're like, oh, I reckon that, I've played that game.
Yeah.
And they'll find interest in it.
I want to put a pin in this conversation. Unfortunately, we had the No Man's Sky and the big PUBG conversations this week. So we're not going to be able to get into the whole Overwatch esports thing, but we're going to continue to keep this in our notes. And when we've got a slow news week, I really do want to have a very serious, long form conversation about esports and the progression of that with television, stuff like that. So I just want to mention that it happened on Saturday, and it was quite interesting to watch. But we will come back to this hopefully before PAX. We can get to this and have a long form conversation, because I really do think that there's some. This is much bigger. I'll leave with this. This is a much bigger deal than what people are making it out to be. This is a huge deal. So we'll get into that.
Did we play? We play the Overwatch video?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so we played the hamster.
Yep.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. All right. So with the Darwin Project,
we played it a couple weeks ago.
This is a new one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
no.
I was going to say I didn't remember us playing it. I was like, but they actually released it, and so here's the different video that shows a little bit of how he operates now. So this is, I think, a little bit better. Before, it was more of the story of how the hamster became in a robot, in fighting. I don't know. But this is actually showing some of the mechanics of how he operates.
System online. Navigational matrix initialized. Weapons linked. Targets found. Objectives loaded. Pilot link established. Wrecking ball online. Combat mode engaged. Rolling out. Engaging call.
Well, I mean, I couldn't from that trailer. Of course, that's trying to promote that character. Look, maybe a little OP. I mean, just from the just from the trailer. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if you look, like it does that swing move, which is a knockback.
I thought
like
that was the
crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was maybe the ultimate, but it turns out it's not.
No, but that's just one of the. And then it also has the ability to do like a drop, like a knockback effect when it lands, and then it also can launch what looks like its ultimate. It actually launches
little bombs,
a bunch of mini, hamster balls or whatever that then explode around people. So very unique. It'll be interesting to see how balanced this is compared.
Oh, I'm sure
definitely has some unique abilities,
and it'll definitely be balanced. I mean, the trailer's trying to make it look like it's more badass than it really is. So yeah, that'll be cool. It's in the game now, so you can.
Yep, they just released it.
You can go check it out.
And then, so one other is they put out a release for the Darwin Project. They put out an update today, 1.13. They have the tile mapping system they improved. So the tile mapping system will build a fresh map for each match by pulling tiles, hexagon shapes from a bank and seamlessly assembling them in various configurations. So you get variety. So you don't have just one map. They're now going to have a dynamic map that gives you different zones and different feels.
That's big.
So that's a big change so that you don't have that exact same layout every single time.
Yeah, and you know, part of the thing with the Darwin Project is, well, I think part of my, not my frustration, not even my issue, was just the repetitiveness. It was the same. Yeah. I mean, you
learn those secrets of the map. Like
it's the same thing every time. You know, oh, I'm gonna head for this point. You know, I'm gonna head for that point. This, that. It's just it was the same layout, and it was the drop locations were all pretty similar every time. So hopefully with this this randomness will give the game a little more uniqueness,
freshness.
Yeah, freshness, uniqueness per game.
Yep, and then they added an ice bolt electronic power, so you actually can freeze somebody and shock them with your bow. And then they added some gladiator themed cosmetics, which I think will be their selling point here. This game is going to be about having fun, cool cosmetics as you play against other people, since it is meant to be something that you see streamed.
Yeah.
And then they did some patches, bug fixes, and improvements to the game beyond that. So, other than that, I was going to mention I have some ones in here from previously that we just haven't gone into detail on.
Yeah, we've still got some time. So
one thing I wanted to discuss some of the future. I wanted to go through the games that are going to be releasing this year.
Well, let me stop you before you do that, and let's do some, because we skipped right past H1Z1 on this. So I'm trying to get my update to load here. So let's talk about regular old H1Z1 King of the Kill first, which we played 2 weeks ago. For that, and what they're doing is for the test server, they're bringing revised plans for season 2 gameplay. They've been listening to feedback, and then they've done some stuff with that, like the revive. And some other things. So the updates in here, match scoring has been adjusted. Kills are valued, are more than they were season 1. It's always been a big issue with the game. Is it doesn't really about who you killed and whatever you did. It was where you finished. Yep. So kills now have a little bit higher value. Placement and consistency modifiers have been adjusted so that bad games no longer lower your overall rank. And then a whole bunch of other things, including a couple of bug fixes. Jumping backwards and sideways now maintains expected movement speeds. You can toggle mute with Control M now works when you're on the loading screens, and then just numerous bug fixes and performance optimizations for the Z1 Outbreak remaster map. So they did that, and that was for H1Z1 King of the Kill. And interesting, we saw an update from Just Survive this week as well, which the last update we had from them was, we're just going to continue to keep the game alive. That was the last update we've had. And this is a live update, and a couple of things in here. The first one being lifetimes for traps and other placeable objects have been drastically shortened if they're not placed on a foundation or in a shack. So that griefing that has always been an issue, that's maybe a little bit of a solution for that. Duct tape has been removed from the plated armor recipe and replaced with a composite cloth. And then just a couple of other things. Some anti-cheat modules have been added, so on and so forth. So they just did a little live update there, including a couple of quick things, small tweaks, small fixes, and that's all we're going to see according to them. There's not going to be any big changes, big updates to the game.
Now, there was a Rust update. I don't know if you want to play the video for that, depending on how much time we have.
How long is the video?
The video is 4 minutes.
I would say probably not if you want to talk about some of the upcoming games. Want to just do that and wrap up the show?
Yeah, so we'll not talk about these first two videos.
Okay.
So Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out October 26th. We mentioned that earlier. Another game is in November. Overkill's The Walking Dead will be November 6th. And that's going to be one that we've seen some videos that we've shown some videos on here that look incredible. It'll be interesting to see how close the game is to those cutscenes that they're making. But they have some pretty unique characters. Looks like it could be really good. Of course, one that we covered extensively, Fallout 76, is going to be November 14th. February 22nd will be Days Gone. That should be a really good one, post-apocalyptic game. And then Division 2, that won't be out till March 15th. So that's more next year. But those are some games that are coming up that I think we'll have on our radar as far as once they're released, we'll be talking about them more. Probably less Red Dead Redemption 2. We'll talk about the experience and maybe what it means towards gaming in general, I think. But I don't, they've talked about a PC game, but I think they're talking about it's going to be like streaming of a PC game. I think they're going to be using their Now service or something like that to be able to let people play it, or some way that they're streaming it to their TV from the PS4 or streaming it to their computer. I don't think it's going to be actually released on the PC itself.
It'll probably be in the Windows Store. It probably won't be on Steam.
No, from what I was looking, I was seeing that it's using their service. So I think it's actually streaming it, not having a PC version of it.
Well, that sucks.
I mean, someone may have better information than that, but everything I saw so far, it looks like it's not an actual PC release like GTA. I mean, people look at GTA and they think, oh, that we could do this.
And to be fair to them, Red Dead is probably better as a console game. I mean, there are some games that just are, and that may be one of them. I don't know that to be the case yet. Obviously, it's not out, and some games are just better on consoles. Rocket League, I think, is one of them too. The PC is pretty good, but I think it's a better overall experience on console. I could be wrong.
So, I mean, so this is the thing is, one thing that GTA 4 did is it took them 7 months to be able to, before they released it on PC. Took 17 months for them to release GTA 5 on PC from when it was released. So this may be something that does come out. They made so much money off of GTA 5 on PC. I mean, they've made money on it. I would think that would be in the back of their minds. So I'm hoping that they do. But from what I can tell now, at this moment, there's not been any specifics of them releasing it on PC. But it may be something that's just later. So initially, you may be able to play through the streaming service or some sort of thing like that.
I think this is a good reality check for our community, which is a PC gaming community. That just shows how much more money there is to be made on consoles, that even after the tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars Rockstar made with Grand Theft Auto on PC, it is still not their top priority. That just shows you how much freaking money they make with console versions. So I know it's not, nobody likes to talk about it. Oh, the PC master race, console sucks. It doesn't matter. That's where the money is. I mean, that's where the money is. It's the same thing between advertising in TV or radio and then advertising on a podcast. It's the exact same thing.
One thing, and most of the people that are saying, we know that it's going to come out on PC, they're basing that on a LinkedIn post or a LinkedIn profile where someone said experience, and then they had, that they had worked, or it was actually an ad for a programmer, and in there they put Red Dead Redemption 2 PS4/Xbox One/PC but that could have been the HR department just, that who knows, but that's what everybody's basing it on. Could have been an error, but it could be that, okay, maybe later they're doing it. But that seems to be all the information that people actually know, is that it's /PC, and that LinkedIn posting is the only thing. So we'll see. I would love it for it to be on PC.
Here's your comparison for everybody that is for some reason in the dark about consoles versus PC. The first week that GTA 5 launched, it sold 11.2 million copies on consoles. And after a month of it being available on PC, it had sold 2 million copies. So for anybody that doesn't think that the console is a bigger market, you are an idiot. I mean, this is backed game after game after game. 85% of Witcher's 3 sales were on the console.
Yep. Well, and are they releasing it on Xbox?
Yeah.
So they're actually, okay, I was going to make sure if they weren't releasing an Xbox, then we'll know that's probably wrong. So, yeah, so maybe they are. But as you said, for them, that's not a huge moneymaker. That'll be something later. I mean, but I look at the GTA graphics on PS4 versus PC, and I think personally PC looks a lot better. And so that matters to me. So, I'd like to play a game where I'm running around the world and I really want it to look good. I'd rather play it on a PC personally.
Oh, and so would I. But my point is, there's a lot. They sold 11.2 million copies in the first 24 hours. That was the all-time record for a game launch ever.
Yep.
And then they sold 2 million copies on the PC in the first month. Now, as you mentioned, there was a 17-month gap between the two?
Gap between.
But the point is still there.
Yep.
It took a month to sell 2 million copies on the PC. So the PC players that didn't have consoles, that the release date was still the same. Didn't matter. Yep. If it came out 17 months earlier on the console, they didn't have consoles.
Yep.
So it's still, the point is still there.
So we'll see. But, and if it doesn't have a huge online, if it's not like a persistent online, whatever, I'd rather play that on a console personally. But if it's something that has a big world, like the games that we play, that's something that I would want to play on a PC. So I don't know if there's anything else. Just keep in mind in the next 4 months,
lots of games.
Got a lot of games coming out. Some big games.
Keep your wallet close. Hold on to those dollars as you'll be spending them on games.
Yep, and The Last of Us will be coming out soon. I didn't grab the date of that, but The Last of Us as well. It's a game that probably a lot of our people will play, and that's going to be coming out pretty soon after that. I think I'm trying to find the date. There we go, release date. That's going to be coming out in the next.
So PH is calling me out saying that I'm giving a bad example of the 17-month gap. So here's another one. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt came out on PC and console on the same day. 70% of the sales were on consoles, 30% were on PC. So there's your breakdown right there. 70% of the Witcher sales were on console versus 30% of the PC. Same release date.
Yeah.
So,
and they're just looking at the numbers.
Yeah. So you talk
many of us.
You're talking, just a huge difference. Not even a comparable difference. 70 and 30 is huge. That's insane. You were talking hundreds of millions of dollars on a successful title in difference. I'm not saying the PC community is not big, but the console community is way bigger.
They're gonna make their money. The thing is day one, the whole budget for GTA 5 to make it, they made back by a couple times day one.
Yeah.
They made back multiples of it day one. So it instantly pays for itself.
Yeah. It's just I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's just the way it is. that's why when people are asking why is Rockstar caring about the PC version a whole lot, because they make 60 to 90% of their sales come from console.
Yep.
That's where their money is. If 70% of your players are buying it on the console, that's where you're releasing it first. Plain and simple. There's not even a conversation to be had.
So we'll see. And if we find out like that they're going to release on PC, and it's not going to be the day they release,
Probably
as you
not.
said.
But I mean, I'm buying it on
like-
console anyway. I've got a PC. I'm buying it on the Xbox. Actually, no, I'll probably buy. I don't know. It depends. I don't know. It depends where you get it. I guess I may get it on PlayStation.
I mean, PS4 for me.
Then that's probably what I'll do. Then I'll probably get it on the PlayStation.
If we can get it on PS4, then we could try some of the co-op play or whatever
exactly.
they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably what I'll do. We'll figure out where you're going to get it, and then we'll go from there. That's probably what I'll do. I mean, I've got all three of them available, so I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Is there anything else you wanted to discuss? Dead by Daylight did come out with an update. Mostly was balanced. They've been doing a lot of balancing. So if you play Dead by Daylight, go check that out. They have a balance patch that they just put out recently.
Gotcha. Well, I don't have anything else, but I do have, of course, everybody's. I mean, I'm sorry, Brian, but everybody's favorite segment of the show, and that is current players. So we go through, talk about some of the games that we talk about, the games that people are playing, and we look at the numbers. As I said earlier, we had about 40,000 people playing the No Man's Sky update. Sorry, slipped there on the word. Let's talk about some other games. H1Z1, King of the Kill, currently playing 1,975. The 24-hour peak, 4,789, with a 7-day peak, 6,316. Let's move on to Ark Survival Evolved, currently playing 35,427. The 24-hour peak, 48,143, with a 7-day peak, 61,935. I think something's going on with Steam now because Conan Exiles numbers are very off, but I don't know. Who knows? Currently playing 8,267. The 24-hour peak, 11,766, with a 7-day peak of 15,505. The numbers were up much higher last week, so I'm not sure what would have caused that drop off, but we'll see. Moving on. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, currently playing 247,984. The 24-hour peak, 1,283,262, with a 7-day peak, 1,339,071. That is that's current players. That's who's playing what, where, why, and when, I guess.
All right, so let's go ahead and roll into tip of the week, where either I give a general gaming tip or one specific for a game we're playing. And this week it will be on Conan Exiles. So this is tip of the week. All right, so in Conan, as you start to progress a little bit, you realize that you have to stay warm. And so if you want to venture north, those desert clothes that you start out with and you initially craft, they don't have a beneficial effect as much when you're up there. So one thing in Conan is they have what they call cold resistance. And each piece of cold resistance gear gives you a +1 cold resistance per item. So you can get a maximum of +5 cold resistance. And another thing you can actually do is carry spicy foods with you to help avoid frostbite when you're there as well. So make sure that if you're crafting gear and you're needing to figure out all the different gear that you can get that has cold resistance on it, the cold resistance is going to be the same. All of them just have a +1 at this time. So there's not one piece of cold resistance gear that's better than another one for combating cold. Another thing that my wife actually requested that I bring this one up because she found out the hard way, that as you're wandering around and you see what looks like a transparent green wall, do not touch the green wall.
She should watch the show and she would know.
Yes, because she found out the hard way because she walked up just to see, what would happen. Does it take you into some special area or something? No, it instantly kills you. And so if you're experimenting where you can and can't go, just remember to not go into it, because the second you touch it, it's not like it starts taking your health away. The second you touch it, you die. Another thing also, if you are going to be experimenting and wandering around, make sure that you keep some of your expensive or rare items, something that you find valuable, leave those at home. Because in this game, if you die, your gear is left there and you may have a hard time running back to that point. So if you're just out exploring and you don't really need to have certain gear, maybe you're not going into a boss cave or something, just leave that really expensive rare sword at home. Bring something that's lower quality, perhaps, that you wouldn't mind so much dropping and losing when you're running around. So that is tip of the week.
Well, there you go. Heard it here first.
All right. And remember, Tabletop, we'll be doing Tabletop Simulator for this week's game of the week, Zombicide. So if any of you have played that game, come and you can give us some of your expertise on it, but it should be a fun game. And it is a zombie game. We are infections. So hopefully it's a fun game to play.
Yeah. So real quick, our next show will be taking place next Monday, which will be July 30th. So if you're a live listener, or maybe you're thinking of tuning in live next week, be aware it's on a Monday. We'll have that set up, and then I'm hoping not Brian. Not saying that you're not capable. I'm not saying this at all. But hopefully our friend Saul can join us on Tabletop night, because he is definitely the wrangler. He can get everybody.
Well, he says that he owns an actual copy of Zombicide. So I just typed in chat right before he said that. I said you can GM it.
Yes, because when we don't know what game we're playing, it turns into it turns into playing Uno very fast.
Uno,
it's into Uno, which isn't bad.
We played Seven Wonders a couple weeks ago, and I think that went pretty well.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed out on that one. I was a little bummed about that.
So worst case, we could always play some Seven Wonders now that enough people have played it once to where they understand it.
Yes.
All right. So let's go and do. We ready for the raffle?
Oh God, totally forgot about it. Yes, sir.
All right. So Jay Delorey, JD as we call him, congratulations. You have won a copy of Hearts of Iron 4. So I'll send it to you in Discord. I'll send you a link so you can redeem that.
Well, yes, and there you go. Congrats, Jay Delorey. Thanks to everybody for tuning in live. We're live next Monday. We do have our PAX donation page up. We are raising money to go to PAX West 2018. Those days keep getting lower and lower every week, Brian. I think 36 days until we'll be out there. I think
quickly
coming up very quickly. We better get our act together on that. We're looking forward to having we will be the only source of survival game coverage from PAX. That's what we're going for. Now, we do look at other things while we're there, but we will be your exclusive source for survival game coverage at PAX West. We literally found the Darwin Project last year. I don't care what anybody says. Yep. We were the first ones to talk to them. Nope, their booth was a tiny little booth back in the corner with a whole bunch of foreign guys and gals dressed up in orange dress suits or orange jumpsuits. Nobody wanted anything to do with them. And we interviewed with them.
Very good English. Like, people didn't give them the time of day.
No, and we interviewed them, and then IGN wrote an article, and everybody was very excited, but we were the OGs on that. Just saying. That's an absolute fact.
Yep, and hopefully we'll find another one. We'll find that game that's nobody knows about yet, and then it'll be up on one of the main stages at one of the big conferences right after that. Because I mean, that's the thing, is nobody was looking at them, and then they were up on the main stage at one of the recent conferences.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, again, I'm really not trying to brag, but I mean, we're kind of a big deal. I don't know what to say. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks, Brian.
Is there anything else you want to cover before we roll on out here?
No, sir. I think we're all set.
All right. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. Make sure you go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, and join our Steam group. If you want to join our Steam group, we'll give you a nice little notification before the show starts, and we'll try to remind you of when we're doing our game of the week. If you want to join us for our game of the week, click on Join Discord server, and that will let you chat with us throughout the week, come play games and do voice chat, text chat. Also, we have a news channel, which is very nice for you to be able to give suggestions of things that you want us to cover throughout the week. We take a look at that, and then we take them into consideration when I'm coming up with the show notes. Also, we have a link to our audio formats, our YouTube channel, our Twitch, so you can join us live. And then all the different show notes and videos and audio. Actually, we have an audio and video available for each of the show notes if you want to go and look at some past shows. So that's it.
Yes, thank you very much, Brian. And I do really quickly want to thank our friend Deacon for the resubscription on Twitch, and our friend Green Man Cartoons and Landgun for the donations towards our PAX fund, and then our friend Firebomb for asking us to ban PH for 100 bits. So I want to thank all of them and everybody else that's been part of the show and helping us. Again, as I always said, multiple ways. You can send us information, a whole bunch of other. You can help in many other ways besides monetarily. So we appreciate everybody supporting the program with that. Thank you very much, Brian. I'll see you Friday night and then next Monday, just so you know, because it's inevitable. We'll get a message Tuesday. What the hell? You didn't tell us you were doing the show on Monday. We're doing the show on Monday, so be prepared.
Everybody's warned.
Yeah, everybody's warned. There's no excuse. So, yes, thanks, Brian, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in live for another episode of Infection, the Survival Podcast. My name is Nick Craig. You can find me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, all of the information, all the show notes, everything else on our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time.